Republican Anthony Rogers has no previous political experience. Rogers, a comedian, is well known for a podcast called The Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey man, this is Tommy Chong, and right now you're listening to The Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey all you cool cats and kittens, it's Carol Baskin, and you are listening to The Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey y'all, this is Kevin from Candlebox. You are listening to the funny man, Anthony Rogers.
Hey, my name is Alex Sulkin, writer of Ted and Family Guy, and you're listening to The Anthony Rogers Show. Lucky you.
And now, a message from the Power Rangers.
I'm an actor. When I play Bolt, I'm just pretending.
And I'm an actor also, and when I play Skull, I'm just pretending too. Of course, I am the better actor.
No, you're not.
Hey babe.
You know, big strong man to help you with your books.
Come on, Skull.
Welcome back to the greatest show in the entire universe. Today we have a guest that, if I could tell my childhood me's on the show, I'd fucking go crazy probably. And Jason Narvy was in Power Rangers, and how are you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing great today. I'm better now that I've seen you.
You have like my childhood dream resume. Like when I was like looking at your IMDb, the movies and like the TV shows and stuff, man. Like you have like I feel like you have like my 17-year-old or like I don't know middle school like resume that I would want. You know, like it's crazy. Like
yeah, let's face it. I mean, when we got these gigs, you know, they were still trying to figure out what Bulk and Skull should be. So we basically made it because you know I was not yet 19. That was a month
That's
away from
crazy.
Birthday. Yeah, so we just basically made it a teenager's wet dream. You know.
No, yeah, that's got it. I mean, yeah, you're 19 getting work like that's crazy. I mean, that just lined you up for it. I mean, I saw how many movies you got out of that. That's crazy. I mean, you're in a bunch of Power Ranger movies and like.
Yeah, it set me up, you know, and I got out of Hollywood at some point, but it kind of, my house is built on Power Rangers. Even though we're not getting residuals from it was boot camp for us, number one. Or if you were to look back at, think about like all those old comedians, all those old, you know, actors and stuff like that in Hollywood, they would do vaudeville, right? And vaudeville means you're working 12 hours a day doing the thing. And that's exactly what Power Rangers was for us. So no matter what came after or didn't come after, that you know, so many years with 12 hours a day on the set, it gets in your DNA.
No, I bet, man. You were on there 12-hour days, you said?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was 12-hour days for Power Rangers. At least, I was going to say at least at first. I mean, definitely, even throughout, you know, it was always 12 hours. Obviously, sometimes, you know, 8 of those hours, some days you'd be sitting in your dressing room waiting and doing nothing more than screwing
eating
around with the crew. And,
exactly. You had food and shit too. David Fielding was telling me that he was only there for one day, so I didn't know. Everyone's experience is like different that I've had on the show so far. It's like the guy who played Zordon was telling me that they recorded all his in like a day, which is like. I mean, payment-wise, bullshit, but like work-wise, awesome. Like even like you just like get promoted, like your face is in like all these episodes from like a day's work, you know?
Yeah, dude, totally. You know, for David, yeah, he did work that one day, and Schreier and I, we worked. You know, we were the funny thing about it was we were on call, almost like doctors. You know,
yeah.
We need some bad acting. Stat, and you know, oh, I'm coming in, you know. Sorry, I'm doing like I've got a cell phone. No cell phones back then yet. You know, little pager. I don't know if you remember pagers. They go beep 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 beep.
Yeah.
Then you got to find a damn payphone. But anyway, that was awesome. So what they would do with Paulie and I after a while is they would save all of our stuff to the end of the day. Because they knew if they were falling behind or something, Paulie and I could get it in one. Or if everyone was in a bad mood, you know, we put them in a good mood. Paulie and I became good buddies with the entire crew. And so, you know, we showed mad respect to them. And for us, we're like, let's just make them laugh at the end of the day. So it made a pleasant day for them, you know. But Power Rangers, I mean, we filmed at a ridiculous rate. Damn it. Speaking of Paul Schreier, he's texting me right now on my computer. You keep hearing ding. That's Paulie. So clearly we still keep in touch. But no, you know, we shot, unlike some shows, like a sitcom, we'll shoot one a week, right? You have your first table read on Monday. You put it on its feet on Tuesday, you block through it, you work through it, have some more table reads, you do some rehearsals, you do dress rehearsal on Friday, or no, you do your first camera rehearsal, I think, on Thursday. You do a dress rehearsal Friday, and then you film a studio audience on a Friday. Power Rangers was just like, okay, we're shooting 4 episodes at a time. So literally you would have to go from, like, if we're shooting in the juice bar, right? You're going to be shooting episodes 1, 5, 7, and 12. Okay. So right now you're doing a scene where the Power Rangers are coming after you. Okay. Now go change your clothes. You're coming back and you're going after the Power Rangers. And in this one, you miss your mom because you've always questioned whether or not she was really your mom and who your father is. Okay. In this one, you're having a gender identity crisis. Deal with it. Okay. Go. So it made your head spin how quickly we jumped from script to script to script to script for that show.
That's super effective. I they could be crazy on the actress, but that's super effective, I think. But I remember didn't they just clip an old Japanese show for all the fight scenes, and then your scenes in the Power Rangers not in uniform or something was that's all they shot basically, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
that's hilarious. That's great, though. I mean, that's great business. I mean, really. It's
good thinking. I mean, and Saban was a great businessman. So he started by doing animation. He'd buy animation from Japan and he'd redub it. And so he was going to do the exact same thing with one of the Super Sentai. It wasn't the Mighty Morphin, or as that season of Mighty Morphin was known in Japan, Zhu Ranger. No, sorry, Zhu Ranger. It wasn't that season. It was a different one, but they dubbed it all, including when they were out of the helmet heads. And they said, well, it works, except for, I think we need to make it a little more American. So they said, well, what about when, they've got the helmet heads half the time. So let's create a world where they're not American. And so they created that sort of Saved by the Bell kind of sub-story, right?
It is kind of like that,
yeah. And at some point, though, then they started bringing the Japanese stuntmen out here. So actually, people always ask whether or not, the Power Rangers, people who play the Power Rangers could do those stunts. They could do those stunts by and large. I mean, David Yost was not a martial artist, but he was a gymnast, and so was Amy Jo. So they could do those flips and all that stuff. But because we were filming so fast, it made more sense just to have stunt guys in helmets do that. So after the first 40 episodes, I think, we started bringing in the Japanese stuntmen that played the roles in Japan to come out and do the stunts in the United States. So actually, at some point, we did start filming a lot of the Power Ranger, even the helmet head stuff in the United States, but the monster stuff and the vehicles was all just Japanese footage too.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, I found that out as an adult, way later. But and your role was kind of cool because you were basically comedic relief on a show that was otherwise, kind of serious, but for children for sure. It's but you guys had I remember that sound. Every time you guys would come around, it'd be a sound, right? That fucking.
Our theme song. Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude. Every time. Yeah, no, that's a great gig, man. So you were just 19 when you got that. You said.
I was 18, yeah.
18, that's crazy.
I was short. It was my birthday is at the end of March, and I think I got the gig at the beginning of February. So I was 2 months before my 19th birthday. So that was pretty cool. And then we got a theme song. I mean, that's the American dream, is to have a theme song everywhere you follow you everywhere you go. So, and that's another thing. Bulk and Skull were not in every episode originally. They didn't know what they wanted to do. So they wanted the Power Rangers to be wacky and funny, but they were all martial artists and good looking, right? so I mean, don't get me wrong. Jason David Franks, he's a prankster. Walt's got a great sense of humor, right? Johnny Young Bosch, I've been working with that guy for 25 years, and I just saw a little side comic project that he did. He's hilarious, but you can't have your heroes do it, right? So when you don't want your heroes to be foolish, right? So when they had the Power Rangers doing, the comedy, they'd morph and they'd fall on each other. Oof, oof, oof. Well, you don't want your heroes to be idiots. So you can hire professional idiots. So Paulie and I were like, look, dude, we're the only people on this set that they can replace. You can't replace Power Rangers. So let's make ourselves invaluable. So we made up all kinds of crap. We improvised. We added crap that was not in the script. We just stuck with the lines. And so when Chaim Saban watched the dailies of Paulie and I, he said, these guys are fucking morons. I want them in every show. So we went back and we reshot about half the first season and added Bulk and Skull scenes for every episode.
That's awesome.
That was awesome. That was cool. We're like, yeah, we made it. They're not going to fire us yet.
That's crazy, man. No, that's exciting, man. That's like what everybody. I think that's what everybody gets into the game for. You know, like it be film or television or something like whatever. You know, like I think like that's awesome, man. So you were like just right out of high school. It's like the first thing. Did you apply for other things? Like or is this like the first thing?
Yeah. So I had graduated in June the previous year, but I was a hoodlum. I failed all my classes except for my theater classes. Like I never would have, I was a derelict. I was kicked out of junior high, for instance. So if I was not going to be able to go into college, so I was working. I was taking acting classes at the Lee Strasberg studio, which is like super method, like, feel my pain. And I was working at a Ford dealership, a Ford Lincoln Mercury dealership, delivering parts. So that's what I was doing. But I got an agent. That was the one thing that I could do. So I had some buddies. You know how California is. There's some places that are coal mining towns. There's some places that are, car manufacturing towns. LA is a film town, right?
Yeah, not a lot of people understand that. Yeah, no, it's fine. Everyone thinks California is just LA. Like, I feel like it's funny you brought that up. Like,
yeah, no, LA is, well, in LA, even in itself, I don't think people really know LA. LA is not just Hollywood, and Hollywood is very working class, actually. There's people, there's people that make their living in film that are not the glamorous actors. They're just people who work their asses off, just blue collar workers. They're just good at what they do. They know what to do. They know how to take care of stuff. It's real, working class kind of stuff. Like, it ain't Hamlet. Just freaking go up there and be Superman. Come on,
Yeah, your day sounds crazy. Like, as a kid, you're like, man, wouldn't it be awesome to be like an actor? Until like you hear so you have like a podcast, and like you just like, man, I work 12-hour days. I'm like, man, I love being a comedian. It's like I don't have to do shit really.
You start the day at 8:00.
Yeah,
you can have a couple cocktails. Your set is at 9.
That's so much. If you're touring, like most of it's driving. That's your payoff, I guess. You're driving like sometimes like fucking crazy hours. But no, outside of that, like I'm like, because I'll hear all these people like they have like you have like a dream job. You know what I mean? You have like in America like what a dream job is, and it still sounds crazy to me. Like to do all that shit, it just sounds like a lot of fucking work that I don't think people realize. Like these like TikTok stars or whatever. I don't think they realize how much work it's gonna take to stay relevant. And like, you've been around, you've been in the game how many years now? Like almost like 30 probably or something.
Almost 30 years, 1990.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Conventions for your shit, that show is still like huge with people, and you have multiple generations now that watch it. That's
amazing.
Nuts.
And it's lucky. Okay, look, there's very few people that do anything in this business that sticks around. We're infinitely blessed that people give a shit, about it. Didn't make us filthy rich, but we made a living off it, didn't we? And that's a damn good thing. You're doing stand-up comedy now. You work your ass off. I know you say it's a dream job, but you work your ass off. You're not just a slough that goes up there and says crap that comes to mind. You work on your routine. You figure out the clubs to go to. Some suck, some are great. And even the great ones are like, damn it, that wasn't my best night. Why? I was nervous that day or whatever. So anything in entertainment is really hard. You're lucky if people remember it, because it's not a job that's easy. It's not a job. It seems like it's rewarding, but whether or not it's rewarding is contingent upon whether or not it's received well. And then so there's a lot of that shit going on when you're in this business, right? So I thank God that I got Power Rangers. I don't know what happened. I'd be like one of my buddies. I'd be in jail or dead or something, No,
it's always guys it's like your story is like so like I guess like people do. That's in entertainment. It's always how it is. It's like people that like were just like attention seeking, got in trouble for attention seeking more or less, like at a young age, and then they got really good at it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's basically what it is. Like 10 years into doing that, you're gonna be good. It's like.
Absolutely. Well, let's face it. Nobody goes into this industry because they're a complete person, right? They go into it because there's something wrong with them, right? So
and they think fame's the answer. They think that they think like being successful is the answer. No matter if they just work harder or something. It's like.
Absolutely, and it's not. It's not. It really is. Okay, once you get any bit of success, you better work your ass off. Okay, but sometimes you can work your ass off and go nowhere. And it's true. Once in a while, people get lucky. They get called up to the big time, and they're not ready. They're like, I didn't do anything, and now I'm famous. That's a rarity, dude. That's a myth. The person, okay, so as you probably know, I went into academia for a while, and I was teaching actors. Right, my most successful students.
Hello, I'd like to talk to you about one of our sponsors. We have liquid gummies. They are Delta 9 THC. These are strawberry flavored. I just ate one. I'm not gonna eat another one. They're kind of strong, but these are awesome. Get you some. Link in the description, or Google liquid gummies, or go to Leaf, New York. I mean, they sell them there too. Get some of these if you're of age, and whatever laws in your land, follow them. But these are legal THC ones. So I mean, these are federally legal. So you're not worried about the feds when you're getting messed up or whatever. I don't know what you're worried about, but sometimes that's the concern. These are delicious. They're awesome, and I am proud to say they are a sponsor of the Anthony Rogers Show.
Are usually the ones who, I had some kids that instantly they got picked up on something big. But one of my more successful students, and I can't claim credit for her because what she is what she is. She was in one of my classes. She's her own freaking woman, but she's good at what she does because she's good looking. Okay. She's hot, but there's a million people like that. She's funny, and there's not enough funny women out there. And she's also smart as hell, and she loves the applying for the gigs, finding out who she is, where she works. She is a businesswoman that enjoys the grind. And you might recognize her from some of her things, but is she a big name actor? No, but she makes more money than most actors that I know because she works her freaking ass off. She just works her ass off and loves working and finding the work, So yeah, it's not about being lucky and, hey, you got a good look. I want you to be famous. Here's $5 billion. Go do some cocaine, kid. You'll love it,
So funny. That's so funny, man. No, you're right though. I think it comes with talent and hard work, man. Without the hard work, I mean, you got to be talented after your hard work. But I mean, and that's the hard part too. Like, I think getting into entertainment, like as a kid or something like that, it was like okay, I want to do like music or something like that. So I focus on like the product, and then the product would be like great, and then you'd have like no crowd for it. You're like, what do I do with this? And you have to like manage both. And I think that's what like comedy was easier for that, to where you could like manage. Like it's basically it's easier to be your own manager as a comedian. I think where you don't have to like set up equipment and all that other shit.
Oh
like,
yeah. That's true. You just need a mic and a place and a crowd and somebody who's done the publicity to get the crowd there. Which, now that I put it like that, still sounds difficult, but it beats the hell out of schlepping your equipment, setting it up, and it really
it takes a second to get established, I think. But after that, and no one's really as established as they want to be. I don't think. I think everybody's just like, oh man, I'm like looking for the next thing. Like everyone in entertainment seems like they're just looking for the next thing. Like, okay, I did this. What's next? That's what I see everybody, like the person you're talking about. That's probably why they're successful, is that's like the thing. Everybody's just like, okay, it's like the dopamine like wears off. You're like, okay, that was cool, but like I need something like really awesome now.
Yeah, I think it's because we always feel the hounds nipping at our heels. The wolves are always coming after us, Anthony. Like obscurity or poverty, or just we can't live with ourselves if we're not performing. I don't know what it is, but it's right there. And the moment we stop, it's going to eat us alive. That's what I think. You
could pretty much do anything now at like you have an established fan base that has introduced their kids to the product as well. I think so. You have a huge up on making any kind of like movies. Like if you just made your own movie and made yourself like the main guy or one of the main guys, or whatever, like you would kill because you already have a fan base. Like that's all it would be. It's like, it's so easy for, I think if you're established before a certain time frame, you're like a niche in pop culture. Like it's almost like, I think like, and how hard it hit. People were attached to nostalgia. You have such nostalgia. You have 3 generations of nostalgia probably.
Nostalgia is a powerful drug. Let's face it.
And that's crazy to think about.
Is weird because there still are gatekeepers in entertainment, right?
Oh, yeah.
And most of those gatekeepers are just now. The people that were fans of Power Rangers are becoming the gatekeepers now. But the gatekeepers back in the old days did not like Power Rangers. They hated our guts.
They're like older, like a 50-year-old dude, just like, what? No. That makes more sense. Isn't
that a cartoon? And don't they film that cartoon in Japan? Well, you don't film cartoons, number one, but okay. So that's the way it was. It was kind of a grind for a lot of people after Power Rangers.
Well, you have the struggle of like fighting typecast plus like having a crowd. You got to figure, it's like that weird line. You got to toe. And I think a guy like you could. I mean, you could. I mean, you do whatever the fuck you want, really. I mean, but I'm saying like that's free will, you know. But I mean, like you could. But I think like you could take your fan base to new movies and all that shit. I think like I think the new game's being independent though, because like these studios. I mean, unless you want to be in like Spider-Man 45, which there's nothing wrong with. I mean, but I mean, if that's what they want to do, you know, to each their own. But I'm saying like unless you want to be in Spider-Man 45, like I mean, Hollywood's really not for you at this point. You know, it's like.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious what's going to happen. You know, in the 90s, you know, you had that revolution of all these indie filmmakers. You know, and it was kind of like rock and roll in the 1950s. It was the Wild West, right? And so right now with digital media becoming available, and a lot of people, I mean, I just did a movie with Johnny Young Bosch. We did it about 2 years ago, right before the pandemic. We had a different movie that fell apart. And so I don't want to say we slapped a movie together, but we kind of slapped a movie together to see if anything good came out of it. But because of what you can do now with equipment, if you know what you're doing and you know what you're doing in post-production, you can inexpensively put together a damn good film. So I'm going to be curious if we're coming into another era of the Wild West, or if we're going to oversaturate right now. I'm very curious.
Yeah, both. I think both will happen. I mean, I think both will happen. I think you nailed it. But yeah, this film right now is like how it was like in the late '60s, like towards like they kept making westerns over and over again. It's the same thing like Marvel movies. They just keep making the same thing over because it works. People are buying it. So I mean, why wouldn't they? Really? You know what I mean? There's like every like 30-year-old's wearing a comic book T-shirt. I mean, why wouldn't they make it? You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And who would have thought that geek culture would be hip? Right, that's the opposite of hip, you know.
That's funny.
And I think that it's because it brings together several facets that are going on. We've got a changing demographic, so we never know who's watching movies now. So superhero movies give something for everybody, right? Young, old, they're good character development. And there's a reason why I think it's Marvel and not DC, because Marvel is funny. It makes fun of itself.
Yeah.
DC's
kind of dark.
Yeah, exactly. DC only learned how to be either dark or sparkly clean. You know, there's not a lot of dramatic tension watching Superman when you know he can't die, and you know he's got a perfect hairdo, and you know you can't. So the characters in the Marvel world are flawed, but without being too dark. You know, like I think after that guy started playing like he was the Joker in real life and shot up that place in Colorado, the idea of let's get more dark superhero stories was not quite as appealing for people who wanted, you know, to escapism and something that's family friendly, but not Disney. You know, Marvel hits that note. You know, it's family friendly, but it's not dumbed down. It's super epic, right? And it can go anywhere. So and it's action. Like action came in the 80s and never went away, right?
Yeah, it is a perfect. I mean, you did nail the mix of Wild West. I mean, that totally makes sense. Like all those reasons do. Like film's just so fascinating right now. I'd love to see where it goes. I mean, I think we're in a weird generation, man. I mean, you have like half of Hollywood tied to like Epstein or Weinstein right now. I mean, so it's just a sinking ship, man. So like it's for the taking right now. Like you got all these young filmmakers like myself, just like look at this like salivating, you know, like wait a second, what? There's just an opening.
Everyone's like, oh, it's terrible that Epstein went to jail. Glad he went to jail. Number one, but number two, that means there's a job opening. You know,
I mean, seriously though, like there's a new like line for. I mean, and the internet makes it so possible. I mean, you can make a movie like pretty much anywhere. You know what I mean? Like literally, like it's just a weird time.
Get an audience. You know,
that's what matters. Yeah,
that's what matters. So your ability to be seen is you know 20-fold. Is it going to be too competitive? You know, only time will tell. My God, look at this. So check this out. I've got these windows up there, and the sun is moving on me, and so you can see how my computer keeps moving, but now I'm in a different shadow. Okay, there we go. Oh, now I gotta get the computer. There we go. Okay, there we go. If I stay here, I'm good.
No, I remember those. I had skylights at my parents' house, like when I was a kid. Like I'd pass out on the couch, like take a nap or something, and then like the sun would be in my eyes in like an hour. Like just because of the light. I remember those light move. I remember the light moving from that. Like that's weird. Yeah, that was brought up like.
The wife always like in the morning. I wake up and like I'm not wearing my shirt, but it's over my eyes. You know, because that's the only way I can have darkness in the morning. You know, I don't like to wake up. I don't like to wake up with the sun. So.
Oh no, I can't do that. This is as early as I work. Like I was like, you're my first interview today. It's like, I'm just.
Oh.
I was up to like 3 or 4, like coming up with ideas, like how to like make money off like hot sauce and a bunch of other ideas. I was like trying to.
Well, you're a big beef jerky guy, right? Do you make your own beef jerky?
Not yet. No, I love beef jerky. I do love beef jerky. Though.
I saw that on your media. Oh, I got this glare. What is going on here?
Oh no, I was making fun of how expensive it was for like the last 3 weeks because like beef jerky is just like crazy in price, like for no reason really. I
agree. It shouldn't be so expensive. It's ridiculous.
There's an opening in the market though. You know what I mean? Like if you see a demand, it's like it's just a fucking cow dehydrated. You know what I mean? It's like.
Well, okay. So is the cow dehydrated before you kill her? I mean, she's like, oh God, I really need some Gatorade. If you're like, would you like some Gatorade? She's like, no, I've had too much water. You're like, okay, let's go for a run. Let's go to the sauna.
Dude, that's hilarious, man. And yeah, I started dwelling shit like Power Rangers. I'm just like, that's just a lot of people are gonna be interested in that. But what are you working on now? What do you do now? Like, what are you? That was like years ago, probably. So it's like weird to dwell on shit like that.
So I do. There's a few things I got going on. I just started doing audiobooks. The past couple of years. So
you got a good voice for that. I can see that actually. That makes sense.
You. Well, thank you very much.
You can change it to want to. I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead. I got excited. Go ahead.
That's okay. House of Painted Souls. It's a horror book. It's my second one that's a horror book. So I got that going on. I'm also now a producer with Vox Rocket Studio, which is a studio that Johnny Young Bosch and I started. We do a lot of proof of concepts for like superhero and horror and sci-fi. So we did a limited release of a piece called Arc Exodus, which was the one I was talking about before. Which, if your listeners want to find it, we just put it up and it's going to come down soon. We premiered it and brought it down because we're trying to get it distributed and seeing if we're going to make it into a pilot or if we're going to do a fuller feature length on that one. But it's voxrocketstudio.com. Use the password SKULL when it takes you. I just put up a link for viewers of this podcast and a podcast that I did yesterday so people can go see it. It's 35 minutes. It's a sci-fi flick about, people coming over from a crumbling world, doppelgangers coming over,
This is your pilot for a TV show or is it a movie or what is it?
Yeah, so we shot it. This is the one that we shot as a project just because a different project fell apart and we had a great cast and crew and we said, let's still do something. And once we did it, we loved it. So we distributed it as a short, pilot length, basically, 37 minutes. But we took it down because we got a lot of interest and we won a lot of awards at film fests. And we're not sure now if we want to make it into a pilot or if we want to sell it as a show or do it as a full length. So it's up in the air right now. So cool, that's why we're like, well, let the viewers see it and see what they think.
No,
it turned out really well.
No, I skimmed through while you're talking a little bit. That looks cool, man. Like I skimmed through the trailer a little bit. Like that actually looks pretty cool, man. Like what?
That Johnny directed that one, and he's great at action, in particular. Plus, it's kind of cool to see Adam and Skull, have several acting scenes together after 20 years, little reunion,
Well, yeah, so, you're hitting on a fan base that's already there, plus like building on it, which is like, like basically using Power Rangers as your ground floor. You're doing so much other cool. I like that, man. I'm gonna have to check that movie out and stuff. And like your password is just your name, Skull. You said
just Skull. It's Skull. So
check that out later. That's cool.
If you go to Vox Rocket, voxrocketstudio.com, it'll take you to a Vimeo link, and we just posted on Vimeo so people can just screen it. So go check it out.
There's nothing out here, Bulk. Let's go. Huh?
Them? Those dweebs are the Power Rangers? Oh! I don't believe it. Oh! They've been playing dweebs all this time just to throw us off. Oh!